not bitter host, Todd Huff.
Hello, folks. Welcome. Here we go. Off and running. Another exciting day here at the Todd Huff Show, going through all sorts of both terrifying and crazy things that are around us. This is what happens when we have Democrats in power. It is full speed ahead into the world of lunacy, the world that makes no sense. We'll try to break it down and make sense of it for you, the best of our abilities anyway, because obviously it's liberalism is an emotion, not a logically thought out series of ideas and so forth. But it's a pleasure to be here. You can email me your thoughts, questions, opinions. I'll even accept your adoration and praise, Todd at ToddHuffShow.com. You can subscribe to our email newsletter, which went out last night. Our weekly column goes out in that, and we'll be adding some other things to that. God willing, here in the not too distant future, we're revamping some things. And you can do that by going to ToddHuffShow.com/subscribe. I want to start off the top by correcting something that happened yesterday. I made a mistake. It is such a rare thing, folks, that I made a mistake. Especially something like this. Got an email from a listener. It didn't even occur to me that I did this until I got the email. And the second I read it, I'm thinking, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. Dan emailed me yesterday and pointing out that I kept calling, Oz, I want to know how you let this happen. I kept calling Harry Reid Dirty Harry Reid. It's Dingy Harry. What was I thinking? Rush called Harry Reid. I was doing that as a hat tip to Rush Limbaugh, and I was saying Dirty Harry instead of Dingy Harry. I have no idea why I did that. Probably, you know what? Sometimes I mention something that I didn't really, this is not a scripted program. I have things that I want to talk about. Sometimes I have some notes. Sometimes I just read from the article or, just talk from what I've seen, and I don't know, it just kind of comes together. But I didn't think much about this particular thing before I started yesterday. In fact, I went to Rush's website back in September 2014. There were archives there that said the origins of the Dingy Harry nickname. Oh, goodness. I just want to touch on this briefly since I messed up, but it does humor me. Rush, this is the transcript. He says, as is the usual case, half my brain tied behind my back to make things fair, to make things equal. Buzzwords for the millennials. If I focus on fairness and equality, they will stop being scared and will love me. Bill in Milwaukee, glad you called, sir. You're next on Open Line Friday. Hi. And so Bill asks about the origins of the Dingy Harry name. He says, this is Rush, I forgot what Harry Reid did to trigger it. It was something reprehensibly political, reprehensibly partisan. Clint Eastwood owned the term Dirty Harry, so I was trying to come up with something as close to that as I could without stealing dirt. I mean, if I called him Dirty Harry, that's Clint Eastwood. So Dingy Harry is as close as I was able to get to it. Anyway, I made that mistake yesterday, and when we do make those mistakes, we apologize openly and as quickly as possible. So let's jump into, though. I want to start here. I don't know. Look, there's a lot of things going on, right, in the news, and I touched on this briefly in the email newsletter column yesterday. This is a full-on assault. Full-on assault from it's a multi-front battle, political battle for the left. They have their policies that they want to see implemented, which of course they never do in an open sense. They rarely do. Sometimes they do. I will say this. Sometimes they tell us exactly what they want to do. Other times they cram things inside of a piece of legislation that has nothing to do with the so-called title of the legislation, which has already happened a couple of times with the infrastructure bill, for example, and with the COVID relief package, these bills that are so-called. They're named one thing, and only a small percentage, is actually allocated for what the title of the bill says that's in it. And then they cram all their other crazy things in there. Then they also, another thing that they do is they, I guess, gradually get people to become more open to their positions and ideology because of the terms that they use. Right? This is a big one, actually. The way that they use language, the way that they pressure you to use and to understand language, pressure all of us. The PC police telling us what we can and cannot say. They try to convince us that we are whatever. They're trying to convince us that we are unbiased in our racism, or that, just take your pick. I mean, they try to distort reality. They try to confuse us. They try to get us to gradually and slowly accept some of the premises through trickery oftentimes, or through just the gradual wearing down of our natural defenses, using the same term, I should say, repeatedly over time. People begin to become, I don't know, almost subconsciously influenced by it. Assault weapons is one. Assault rifle is an example. Just one tiny example. Assault weapons, assault weapons, assault weapons, assault weapons. But when you get down to the heart of the matter, it's just one gun looks one way, scarier than the other. It's the same gun, but one is deemed semi-automatic because it looks more like a military-style rifle, or whatever the case may be. There's lots of examples. Pro-choice is another one that they're pro-choice in the issue of abortion. That's it. That's where the left is in favor of choice. Other than that, you'll go to school where they tell you that you'll pay as much taxes as they'll tell you that you pay. You won't question the use of personal pronouns that aren't natural, that don't seem to fit the equation, even if you're not trying to be a jerk about it. It's just something that it doesn't come naturally because it isn't. Just all in and on down the road. There's an assault on common sense. They, of course, are trying to pack the court, or at least change the court so that it favors them in some way, shape, manner, or form. They've got complete control of the media and the messaging, but yet they still face opposition. This is kind of the point, I guess. And yesterday, Project Veritas, God bless Project Veritas for what they do. They expose these jokers. They expose these... They've exposed so many people, and it's amazing that it keeps happening over and over and over again. In fact, when I watch these videos, I want to tell these clowns, if you're ever at a diner with someone who's new, asking a bunch of questions, just don't start admitting and telling all your little secrets. It's just amazing how these, and it's the arrogance of liberalism. I'm telling you is what it is. It is the arrogance that they are too smart to get caught, that the dunces in society, who they believe are dunces in society, are never going to catch on to their tricks and methods. And they just can't help talking about it because they feel like they're so great and powerful. This is what we're able to do, and there's really nothing that they can do to stop us because we're so much smarter, we're so much more powerful. They're just idiots. That's kind of the mentality here. And so James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, has exposed CNN. I'm going to play some of this, and I've gone back and forth on this because some of this audio is a little hard to hear. Others of it is Other audio is very good, so just bear with me on this. And there are some captions on the screen that you're not going to be able to see since we're doing this on radio. But this is just a montage, if you will, put together by James O'Keefe and Project Veritas, a montage of clips that they have high-ranking officials, I guess, at CNN. In fact, one of them admits the network engaged in propaganda to remove Trump from the presidency. Our focus was to get Trump out of office. I came to CNN because I wanted to be a part of that, he says. It's just remarkable just to listen to this, to let it sink in. And on the one hand, it should not be surprising. You hear me especially go after CNN. It is not what they portray themselves to be. It is not even close, right? That you've got James Earl Jones's voice. This is CNN. I can get nowhere near to that voice, by the way, but the most trusted name in news. Give me a break. This organization truth is about the furthest thing from anything that they want to accomplish. This is the most outcome-based news organization in America. They are focused on creating outcomes, not on telling you truth, not on reporting news. These jokers want you to vote left. That these jokers want you to move this country to a so-called progressive, but it's actually a regressive agenda. That's what these jokers want. They live and breathe this, and they think constantly of ways to manipulate the way that Americans and their view, well, not just Americans, it's, CNN's really a worldwide source of news. It's where a lot of people get their news on what's happening in America. And you wonder sometimes, actually you shouldn't wonder too much because it's probably absolutely the case, but you wonder why some people have such a negative viewpoint of the United States around the world. Sometimes you would have to assume that it's simply because they are watching CNN as their primary source of news from this country. But anyway, James O'Keefe has exposed them. I'm going to play at least a little bit of this. I might cue it up to where the audio is a little bit better because there are places where there's background noise and it's hard to hear. But I want to just give you a taste of this if you haven't seen it. And we're going to talk about really the strategy and the tactics employed by the jokers at CNN, what they intend to accomplish. And it is not to tell you truth. It is not to give you information. It is to lead you to a certain conclusion. That is what they attempt to do each and every day. Whether it's removing Trump from office, by the way, they're on record in these sound bites as telling us the next thing on their agenda, because they've saved America from Trump now, the next thing on their agenda is to begin to push climate change. So buckle up for this. And it's amazing how the things that they're going to push on CNN fit hand in glove with what the liberals want to do, right? With what the radical left wants to do. You've got this Green New Deal effectively sitting here, or legislation that the left loves the issue of climate change because it gives the government immense amounts of power. People think, hey, this is something that's way too big for me to deal with alone. This is something governments have to be dealing with, and the consequences are so high. It's, we're talking about the destruction of the planet. We got to basically let the governments of the world do whatever is necessary to fix this, whatever it costs, whatever it means we have to give up in return. We have to be willing to do this. And that's why the left likes the issue of climate change so much, because much like COVID on even a grander scale, but people say, hey, we got this disease going around, this virus, we've got to do whatever the government needs. And you see people that are willing to give up everything for the government to basically save them from the virus. And of course, that's not possible. It isn't possible. We should have learned so much through this past year or so with COVID. And in fact, I remember in the early days saying, prepare for this, because they're going to use the decisions and the things we've allowed the government to do for COVID to take quote unquote emergency action on a larger scale for things like climate change. It's going to be termed an emergency, and they're going to save us from it at whatever cost the American people will be tricked into paying. So, timeout is in order. Come back, and I want to play a little bit of this James O'Keefe montage to give you a flavor of what these jokers at CNN are saying, but we'll do that on the other side of the break. Sit tight. You're listening to the Home of Conservative, Not Bitter Talk. I am your host, Todd Huff, back in just a minute.
Had enough of the cancel culture? Why not fight back by directly supporting the advertisers who make this program possible? Visit supportouradvertisers.com to give those who help bring this program to you the opportunity to earn your business. Find out more about businesses like Ward's Apparel, Edwards Equipment, and Indiana Wooded Paradise Retreat by visiting supportouradvertisers.com today.
Fireplaces can be beautiful and even essential in heating some homes. But did you know they could be dangerous to your family if not properly maintained? Chimneys need to be cleaned and inspected annually. My family and I had Smalling Masonry inspect ours. They are friendly, informative, on time, and helped us use our wood-burning stove more efficiently. Call Christian-owned Smalling Masonry today at 317-903-8121 and mention my name, Todd Huff, for a 15% off chimney inspection and sweep.
There's a lot going on in the world today, and with so much going on, it's sometimes hard to maintain balance. Jesus said in John 16:33, "In this world you will have tribulation, but take heart, I have overcome the world." I'm Pastor Jeff Floyd of the Martinsville First Church of the Nazarene. To experience how life can be better with Jesus, come worship at M1 Church at 10 a.m. this Sunday, 1609 John R. Wooden Drive in Martinsville, or catch our live stream service on Facebook at M1 Church. For more information, visit m1nazarene.org. Have a great day today in Jesus.
All right, here we go. $100 down, $200 $300.
I went to my first firearms auction a few years ago. It was hosted by TJ Freege, one of my good friends from high school, who is a champion auctioneer and one of the best in the business. In spite of objections from liberal legislators, I walked away with a .22 rifle and a few boxes of ammunition. And I had a great afternoon with my grandpa that I won't soon forget. If you've ever wondered what treasure you could find in an auction, visit FreegeAuctioneers.com and take a look at their upcoming Central Indiana auction schedule. That's Freege, F-R-E-I-J-E, auctioneers.com. Visit FreegeAuctioneers.com.
Hi, I'm TJ Freege, owner and lead auctioneer at Freege & Freege Auctions and Marketing. I invite you to come see the power of live auctions. It's fast, it's fun, it's transparent, and it's the absolute best way to ensure you get fair market value for your asset today. Get results, go auction.
Does your business have a plan for social media marketing? Are you reaching the right audiences through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, and the list goes on? Are you learning from the data? Jarbo can help. Our team doesn't just come in and tell you how to be successful. We help you execute and measure your sales and marketing efforts. Give us a call at 317-834-6560 or visit us online at jarbomarketing.com. That's jarbomarketing.com. Make social media work for you.
There is plenty to worry about these days. If you're working with Blake Hornsby at Northwestern Mutual, your retirement and financial security doesn't need to be one of them. Blake is a time-tested financial advisor with over 20 years of experience at Northwestern Mutual. For an independent review of your financial planning needs, call Blake and mention the Todd Huff Show for a free initial consultation. Call 317-215-8322 or visit blakehornsby.com. Invest in your peace of mind with Blake Hornsby at Northwestern Mutual.
Quality glass windows and doors add value to your home or commercial space. At White's Innovative Glass, our family-owned and operated company will work with you to ensure we understand your vision before we begin. And if you don't have a vision, we can help with that too. We proudly stand behind our work and look forward to your call. Right now, we're offering 15% off your next project. Visit our website at whitesinnovativeglass.com/Todd.
This is the sound of your typical do-it-yourselfer in completely over his head.
For heating, plumbing,
and electrical done right.
Call Mr. Quick. Call Mr. Quick. Dial the number, spell the words. For on time.
Welcome back, my friends. By the way, this program is brought to you in part by our friends at Interior Construction Services here in Central Indiana. You can find out more about them by visiting their website, interiorconstruct.com. Interiorconstruct.com. They can help with affordable and high-quality construction services in your residence or even a commercial project. Interior construction services, drywall finishing, metal stud framing, painting, doors and hardware, acoustic ceilings, acoustic sound panels. Check them out. InteriorConstruct.com, or you can call them directly, 317-991-4660, 317-991-4660. Again, folks, the folks that you hear during the commercial breaks are those that I talk about when we come back to the program. These are the folks that make this program possible to you, and we just ask whenever possible that you give them a chance. Just give them a chance to see if they can earn your business. Interior Construction Services, website again, interiorconstruct.com. So I'm going to play this soundbite. From the Project Veritas Expose CNN montage. Some of this, I went back and forth. I even asked Oz here during the break. Some of it's going to be a little hard to hear, but most of it's going to be okay. Some of the audio's higher than others. Some of it's a little bit lower. These are just things that when you're collecting audio in the manner in which Project Veritas is doing that, it gets a little tricky because there's background noise and people talking and so forth. And anyway, we're gonna run with this, and I just want you to hear this. Remember, this is CNN. This is CNN, the most trusted name in news. This is supposed to be the place that tells you the truth, which of course is completely laughable notion to me. But you've got Jim Acosta. This is where Jim Acosta works. This is where Brian Stelter works. This is where Wolf Blitzer works. I don't want to go through every. Don Lemon, of course. Tough guy Chris Cuomo works. This is their network, or this is their media outlet. I guess we're not network anymore, but you know what I mean. It's just a news source. So listen to this. This is, again, Project Veritas. They have basically undercover investigators sneak in, infiltrate these organizations, have cameras and audio devices on them, and they collect information. They develop a relationship with people, and they get them to tell them things that every time I find myself wondering, the person talking, have they never seen a Project Veritas video? And it really makes you wonder how much more of this, how often this is happening, where they're telling people their true intentions, to where they're not even, their spidey sense isn't even going off because someone's asking them questions at, a diner in Atlanta or wherever they were meeting. So anyway, here it is. Some of this, again, is not perfect audio, but I think you'll get the gist of it. The first clip is a CNN technical director named Charlie Chester talking about Biden and how he thinks CNN helped get him or will help get him through his first term, how they always showed him in a way where he had his cool aviators on, making him look like I don't know if he used the word cool, but basically a cool geriatric is what he called him. Can't make this stuff up. Here you go. Hope you enjoy.
I think we got him through this term. We would always show shots of him jogging, him in aviator shades, and like you paint him as a young geriatric.
We were creating a story there that we didn't know anything about. So that's I think that's propaganda.
Look what we did. We got Trump back. I am 100% going to say it, and I 100% believe it, that if it wasn't for CNN, I don't know that Trump would have got voted out.
Our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be for climate change awareness.
Do you think it's going to be just like a lot of like fear, like climate?
Yeah, fear sells. Fear sells. No one ever says those things out loud, but it's obvious.
For years, we've heard that CNN is the most trusted name in news, but a CNN director is on tape telling us that they're propaganda, helping a certain political candidate, employees admitting what we've always known to be true.
Trump was, I don't know, like his hand was shaking or whatever like that. We brought in like so many medical people to like all tell a story that like it was all speculation. That he was like neurological damage, like that he was losing it, he's unfit to, whatever. We were creating a story there that we didn't know anything about. I think there's just like a COVID fatigue. So like whenever a new story comes up, they're going to latch onto it. They've already announced in our office that once the public will be open to it, we're going to start focusing mainly on climate. It's going to be our focus. Our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was, right? So our next thing is going to be for climate change awareness.
Who decides that?
The head of the network,
Who's that? Is that Zucker?
Zucker, yeah.
Climate change is going to be the next COVID thing for CNN. We're gonna hone it.
Our focus was to get Trump out of office, right? Without saying it, that's what it was.
And that's the question, Mr. Zucker. Why is it so important to hide the truth of what you're really trying to do?
And that's, of course, James O'Keefe at the end of that video. And again, some of that's hard to hear, but basically the gist of it was CNN helped get Biden elected. They would always show him jogging, show him with his aviator shades on to try to make him look, I don't know, cooler and hipper for the younger crowd to vote for him. And he says we tried to portray him as a young geriatric. That's what he said. He said, one of them said, I have no doubt that I really believe that CNN helped get Trump out of office. And now, basically, the next thing we're going to do is focus on climate change. The network's already told us that. To which the person asked, again, it was hard to hear the question, but who makes that decision, she said. Is it Zucker? He's like, yeah, Mark Zucker. Mark Zucker, the same guy who was caught, remember this, caught by James O'Keefe. James O'Keefe got onto their weekly conference calls, which that was great. I love that. In fact, there's a spoof or a Project Veritas. In fact, it's on our website, actually. It is, if you haven't seen it, it is worth seeing. It is worth seeing. Project Veritas.